excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
12:03 here on TuneIn, on iHeart, at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, and of course over on the Nasty Chat if you are watching live on YouTube today. Hammer the thumbs up for us. That would be great. It is Two Guys and a Goalie. We are presented to you by GS Construction. As always, Sam Mann and his crew over at GS Construction. I actually was out at like their corporate headquarters in Atchison last week.
Yeah,
I popped out there. I put it into my phone where I was going, and then I wasn't paying attention. I drove all the way out to Spruce, and then I was like, oh, it must be right around here. And I loaded it up, and I was just like, oh, man, I overshot it by like 8 minutes. Turned around, went back the other way. But yeah, very nice lady working reception there. It was a real nice little chat.
I might have golfed with her at one point.
Really?
I think, yeah.
She seems great.
Yeah.
Yeah, real nice. There's been setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety, driving all the success. GS Construction has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become a part of that awesome team. Visit www.gsconstruction.ca and then just scroll down, click Ready to Work, or you can visit their page at Indeed.ca. And with their Next Up Person program at GS Construction, it's not just a job, it is a career. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, and we'll get into that. Oilers fans still a little bit rattled after Huss on the Lock Shop today pointed out that Dylan Holloway has more points this season than Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson combined. But whatever. I said, what are you doing? I said, why are you bringing this up? It's like another log on the fire at Christmas time here at Edmonton. Rob from the Grove is saying recount. Justice for LTE. New judge for hot takes. Smitty the Welder. Here I am.
I love the keyboard warriors at this case. You know, it comes down to a certain way of judging, and I'm on the Supreme Court here. Like this, the buck stops with me, and I understand that, but I stand by my judgment. If you looked and saw how much effort it goes into each take and seeing where everyone goes, and not only that, Dusty, it's the reactions that I look at. Right?
Yeah.
So actually, you know, you laughed.
I laughed at that Bruce
and
Boudreau
that was like,
today.
oh, Dusty, that's.
I know. I need to be more stoic.
Yeah. So
that
almost cost you.
Yeah. Well, phew, it didn't. I got a win in December. That's always nice. I won't. I thank you, Gager. I will say it again. Thanks for the dub. I will definitely take it. 780-218-9999 is where you can get in. Max Bazuzu says, "Hey guys, shout out Smoking Spuds out in Atchison. Smoking Spuds. Is that like I'm just thinking? Is that like a cannabis and potato place?
It sounds like it.
It does, doesn't it? Like Hernan's laughing, but Hernan, what else would that be? Like Smoking Spuds. It feels like you can go in and you buy your weed and maybe French fries.
Dope poutine. Why not?
I mean, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Can I get an order of your dope poutine?
It works both ways.
Somebody let us know what Smoking Spuds is.
It's probably got some golden potatoes on the smoker. I've never even thought about that. Smoked potatoes.
Oh, you think that's what it is?
Yeah, I've used my little handheld smoker for the mashed potatoes.
Okay,
just to give them a little hit.
They're smoking briskets, Max Bazuza said.
So it's not weed. I guess I should have thought that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, single meat box, double meat box, triple meat box, shaken chicken, brisket. Wow. Actually, that looks pretty good. I think we got some food trucks too. Okay, that makes more sense. I don't know why I instantly thought. You know why it was? Because smoke and then the Spuds is spelled with a Z, and it just seems something like a cannabis shop would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my... okay, well, apparently a delicious place. So go check them out in Atchison as well. Hey, what do you think of the Christmas decorations?
I was gonna say that. I like
See,
looking
look
at
at
on the screen. It looks really good, and then I didn't really notice actually walking in here.
Yeah.
But now that I see it, it's
On
very
the screen,
festive.
it looks very festive.
It looks really festive on screen. That's next level.
Huge shout out to YouTube Trev for doing that today.
Wow.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good at decorating. Maddie says Maddie's gonna try to find like a green marker and cover the masking tape with like green festive colors.
Oh, okay.
But I think it looks really nice.
No, it looks really good. Gets
Yeah.
you in the mood, right?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. How's your light hanging?
Oh, the lights are up.
Are they?
Yeah. No,
They don't look like they did about 12 years ago.
No,
do
they've
they?
improved. I've managed to get like a one string of lights that covers perfectly the amount to the front of my house.
Okay.
And every light has its own clip on it. So I just hop on and just like boom, boom,
Okay.
boom, boom, boom.
Because I remember I was at your place.
The one you remember?
And I had to duck.
I was not good at Christmas lights. These ones are easy. And then now I've got it set up on an app. So I can turn them on.
Wow.
I can turn them on right now.
You are.
I can turn them on from my house right now.
Holy smokes.
You wouldn't see them because it's daytime,
advanced.
obviously. But yeah.
You know, I poke fun at you, but I'm terrible at it too. I'm awful. My wife won't let me do it.
Well, I almost feel like now it's a cheat code because it takes me about 15 minutes to put them up. And then at the one corner of the house, it like steps off of like the paved area and I have to have the ladder leaning up on some. So I can't do that by myself because I'm pretty sure I break my neck. So I wait for Tammy to come home and hold the ladder and I pop up but it used to take me 3 hours to hang the lights on the house, and now it's like 15 minutes.
You probably haven't been in Terwilliger lately, but there's some houses that have done amazing
They're
jobs.
cranking it up a notch?
Yeah, like it's great taking the dog for a walk at night with but some of them have those lights that are there all year long, right? The installed ones, and they're doing like it's like Snake and it's going through Oilers games. Half these houses are all in Oilers colors. Like they change it to blue and orange for Oilers games. It's great. My wife has been bugging me about getting those lights put in, but I
Can't be cheap, I don't think.
I don't think it's that. Yeah, that's
Well, I thought
maybe when the kids are gone.
after I set up the automatic thing, I said to Tam, I said, what if we do a whole smart house? Like all the lights in the house, you can do something like that. And you could, I mean, it's 2024, Gager.
The like being an old cable guy, like I used to go on, and these would usually be in those, those ridiculous like 8 to 10,000 square foot homes that would have the home automation system, and they'd have like 18 guys there trying to fix their TVs and stuff. But now, I mean, you can actually go to Best Buy and get like a Google Home setup with outlets and things. And even when I go to my in-laws, like my mother-in-law is going, hey, Alexa, turn on south-facing light. And she says all this stuff or play this. So they have a more automated home than I do. Like it's way easier to do. Turn on the TV.
My buddy Boom did this like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
He was ahead of it. I remember I went to his house in Weyburn, Saskatchewan. I was like, he goes, check this out. And he's just all on his phone. I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool.
I actually think I'm probably it. I mean, it costs a little bit, but I guess then once you have it, right? It starts paying for itself at a certain point.
All right, 780-218-9999 if you want to chime in on that. If you have any questions about the Oilers who get the Blue Jackets tonight, we can do that as well. And if you have any questions for Hire It or Fire It, the printer must be running out of ink. My Hire It or Fire It, that was supposed to be orange.
Oh, geez.
Came up pink. Anyway, if you have any questions for Hire It or Fire It, you can fire those over as well. 780-218-9999. What an interesting time. I see Lucas, Eric's brother says, we at TELUS can make your home into the smartest of homes.
Yeah, I'm not too happy with the.
No, you're not happy.
No,
Well, you're
I'm
a
not.
Shaw guy through and through.
Well, no,
right?
but because I had to switch. Actually, TELUS bought my home alarm system.
Okay.
And the guy came. He was great, Russian guy. And we obviously, how I speak Russian, so we spoke Russian the whole time. And but they didn't bring everything, and I've been waiting for them to call me back, and they haven't. I'm.
Quick story as well. And Lucas, if you want to pop by sometime, so we did we have our home alarm and the thermostat all through like I think it's through TELUS, and it is through TELUS Home, and then but we also ordered the doorknob so you could just punch in.
Yeah.
But the hole in my door wasn't big enough for what they wanted to install. So then I mean, I wanted to have a nap that day. I was just like, I said, you know what, man, just leave it with me. I'll get the hole bigger, then I'll install it myself. Still haven't done it. Like, we're still getting in with a key, and we're supposed to. Tammy's always, she's always like, well, where's the thing that you could open up the door with your phone and stuff?
Yeah.
And I just haven't got back around to it. I even got the number of the TELUS guy, and I said, you know what? Once I get the door bigger, the hole bigger, we can get into it. And then my neighbor was going to come over. He's a fireman. He's way more of a man than I am. Tammy's always like, do you think we should get Keith to come do it? I'm like, hell no. I'll get this done. So he came over, and I had gone to the store, and I thought I bought like the correct, the big thing to drill the hole.
Yeah.
But I guess I got one that was meant for wood, and the door is metal.
Oh, okay.
And then anyway, that was like 2 years ago.
You're not a true man unless you make at least 3 trips to Home Depot, Dusty. So don't feel bad about that.
Yeah, but when I make, exactly. Like for the same thing.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
the other day, this is a quick side note here. We'll get to a lot. This is the two of us. We'll get to tons of other stuff. But the other day, I went to Home Depot to find actually an extension cord here that new TV's plugged into. So mission accomplished. But then when I was there, I was like, I need to get, because usually when I set up the backyard rink, half of it, because it's really tight, I just do with like nails like this big, hammer them in, jam the boards in between. Works really well. And then I have these big braces for the other end. This year, I'm just going to go all nails. Just because I'm a little bit late getting it in and the grounds. So I'm just like, screw it. I'll just nail it down. I went to Home Depot. I couldn't find nails.
Oh, Jesus.
How bad is that?
Yeah.
I found a whole aisle of screws. I couldn't find any nails. And I'm looking for like 1 foot nails.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find them. And then I just gave up.
Just
I didn't
need
want to
some
ask
rebar.
anybody.
Get
I
some
just
rebar and put it in there.
Rebar.
Yeah.
Can I hammer that down?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'll go in and get some rebar.
Yeah, you get it cut.
Would they cut it for me?
I think so. They
would
should be able to.
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, the rink is pretty dangerous until the ice floods over top of the nails.
Exactly.
But anyway.
You know,
that's my thing.
well, just the last thing about the TELUS thing, because they didn't bring certain components, but my upstairs bathroom fan stopped working, so I have to replace it. So my daughter spends, her showers are probably an hour and a half. She comes out, steam hits this alarm, and now with the new TELUS system, the monitoring, they go right to the thing, like through someone will phone you. If you don't respond, they'll send the services, right? So the alarm went off. I was like, oh my gosh. And I went to go answer the phone because the monitoring company was phoning me, and I pressed decline. So I'm like, no. And then I went to, my wife was trying to cancel it. And then my wife goes, I think the fire department's coming. And I was already in bed. And all of a sudden I hear the woo, and so the fire department shows up at my house late at night. I'm out in the driveway looking like Cousin Eddie, going, we're good. It was my daughter's the fan. And they go, oh, it's fine. And
you had your daughter pretend she's cross-eyed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Fell down a well, eyes go cross. Kicked by a mule, goes back. Who knows?
I don't know. All right, so 'tis the season. Hey, Christmas season is here. The place looks decorated well. I don't know how we got that sidetracked, but the Edmonton Oilers will take on the Blue Jackets tonight. We've got lots to get to, and you guys will continue to dive into it on EST afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. But the Oilers, we had Reed Wilkins and Tommy Gazzola, I believe, are down at the rink today. What do you think? Let's just start here. Pickard's going to start. Wow. It's his 9th start of the season. He's 5-3, 2.50 goals against average, .895 save percentage. Skinner got 2 of 3 on the road trip coming home here against Columbus. Now, a Columbus team that can score goals. Bruce Boudreau made a good point this morning, pointing it out. And I went and looked, and Columbus has scored like 4, 5, 6 goals in like 7 of their last 9 games. So they can score goals. What do you think of the decision to go to Pickard, and is it completely related to the 1 goal Stuart Skinner allowed last game?
Obviously, Coach Nabla is shielding Skinner from the fans in Edmonton. It's,
He's only playing in road games.
To protect Stuart Skinner's psyche and confidence. It's I would have loved. It would be great to see how they lay out the season. Okay, where's Stuart Skinner going to play? Where are we going to put Pickard in, and how they manage that? Again, this is surprising to me a little bit, Dusty, where in most cases that with your number 1 guy coming off 2 really good games, he'd probably play the 3rd. Like this, there's a little bit of time in between, and one day he should be fine to play this game. And maybe they're just looking on last year and seeing the slight stumble against the Canucks with Stuart Skinner and realizing, well, maybe he was a little bit tired, and they're really managing his playing time.
Try to keep him at 50.
And, and I just thought about this. Like they wouldn't have known the schedules for, or if Stuart Skinner was going to play in this Four Nations thing, and maybe their whole, if he does go and he plays, then we have to make sure that we don't play him too much if he goes there. So maybe this was kind of the plan all the time, and they let their goaltenders know who was playing ahead of time. But a little bit surprising to me.
780-218-9999 if you'd like to chime in. Oilers and Jackets tonight. We're going to dive into what they're going to be bringing to the table from a line combination perspective. We do know one guy who will not be available, and that is Victor Arvidsson. And the boys will have more on this throughout the day from 1 to 6 now with the expanded coverage since the beginning of September. Gager and Hernan, and then into Reed Wilkins and Jay Milne. Chris Knobloch says there is no timeline for Victor Arvidsson's return. It hasn't quite healed the way we assumed it would have. So, I mean, this is a guy who we know was injury prone coming here. Like, he doesn't play full seasons. Very rarely had it happen. So, I mean, I don't even think you can be disappointed. I think you kind of sort of have to expect something like this. But this was an injury, if I recall correctly. It didn't seem like they were that concerned about it at the beginning. And now we're sitting here a month in, and they're saying they don't have a timeline here. So, I don't know, Gager, even the production before the injury, is this signing already backfiring a little bit? Like, are you going to deal with another season after this of Arvidsson being banged up and in and out of the lineup?
If everyone else was firing on all cylinders, throughout the whole lineup, and they were getting contributions, or production-wise offensively, and Arvidsson was the lone guy out, maybe I would think differently about it. But look, the way the Oilers started the season, everyone was a little bit behind of what you thought their ceiling or their point totals would be up to this point. So that, in that case, I don't think it's a big deal. It is concerning that he's been out this amount of time. I mean, around here we're used to it. With you being out a month, you were day to day for a while, and then
I tried to come back a couple times.
The timeline just kept extending, and we didn't really know. So I'm used to it, but I look.
You guys all adjusted very well while I was gone. Thank you for that.
I'd rather him be 100% than 90 or 95, right?
Yeah.
And so the Oilers should be a good enough team to be able to secure 2 points against the Columbus Blue Jackets without Arvidsson in the lineup. So, and I've said this before, and I say this because I lived in the country, and this is throughout all their, I think, everything with Swedish people. They don't if they're feeling ill, or they wait until they're 100%. They make sure
so if they're banged up, they're not coming back and playing.
They don't want
90%.
Yeah, that's what I gathered from all areas, right? And I obviously, coming from a Canadian background, you're like, if you got 2 broken legs, you still battle it out and get out there
in hockey.
Yeah, right. So it was. I don't know. Maybe I was a little frustrated, but I by the end of my time playing in Sweden, I kind of understood it. Why go out there if you're not going to be at your best? So, and it's not like he's a pivotal player. He's an important player, but with the personnel that the Edmonton Oilers have,
you really would like him for the playoffs. Like, if he can be healthy for the playoffs,
if it takes to the playoffs, and if you gave me the choice, what are you going to have?
I'm sure he'll be back before then. We're not saying they will, but I'm just saying, give us a playoff run with Arvidsson.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Have him, because we've seen how grueling that can be over that 2.5 month span.
780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. Library Patterson says, confirmed, Arvidsson has Dustin Nielson syndrome. That's pretty good. Hey, boys, they signed Arvidsson and Skinner for that extra goal in Game 7. It's not looking good right now. Which, I mean, that's not an unfair statement. I don't think so. You can chime in. You can also hit us up over in the Nasty Chat if you're watching on YouTube today. Please hammer the thumbs up for us here on Two Guys and a Goalie as well. We're at 32, but I know we can crush through that one. Zach Hyman will return, and it looks like Kasperi Kapanen. Here's from the skate this morning. McDavid with Hyman and Nuge, Leon Draisaitl with Kapanen and Podkolzin, Henrik Skinner and Matthias Janmark stay together, and then Connor Brown with Derek Ryan and Corey Perry, I would believe, and then Ekholm Bouchard, Nurse Stetcher, you've seen Nurse and Kulak quite a bit, and then Kulak and Emberson. What are your thoughts on Kasperi Kapanen, who'd come in, played with McDavid, now will slide down and play with Draisaitl? Obviously, two different types of players to play with. Kapanen does bring some speed to the table for sure. Do you think he could be a better fit with Leon than he was with Connor?
I don't know. I think I would rather him. I'd like to see that place flipped with Nuge and Kapanen, to tell you the truth. I thought Kapanen, just because his speed, looked quite good with Connor. Leon plays slightly different when he's centering his own line. I mean, it could work out great. Like when you look at all three of these guys, you have Leon. It's kind of a coach's dream, right? You got Leon as the skilled playmaker at center. Podkolzin is the junkyard dog getting in, being physical, and you have the speedy winger in Kapanen, right? So all the components for a successful line are there. It's just we haven't seen these guys together. I guess if you're going to start changing lines, the Columbus Blue Jackets are probably a good team to be experimenting against. To do, yeah. Yeah, as long as you stay responsible defensively, because they, for some reason, can light it up offensively at times. We'll get to Hire It or Fire It coming up a little bit later on. If you have any questions for Hire It or Fire It, feel free to fire those over at 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, or you can hit us up in the Nasty Chat as well. Loomis is saying, yeah, this is a botched signing. So Loomis also adds the downgrade of going from what was Arvidsson was supposed to be to Connor Brown as Draisaitl's winger is huge, and it's going to be Kapanen in there tonight. So. I'm surprised so many people take so much stock into the regular season too, right? Like, it's important. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, last year you had Connor Brown go until basically the end of the year till he scored, and then he scored a few more, and was a very important piece, I thought, throughout that playoffs, right? I think it helped him scoring at the end, obviously, and getting a little bit of confidence. But look, the reason why the Oilers signed these two players was, I think, specifically looking at game 6 and 7 last year, Connor, Leon go pointless. They need to find someone else that can aside from Cody Ceci, that can put up some points, and that's what you get these guys for. So really, Dusty, I could, as long as the Oilers win, I guess it's important, obviously, but their season totals, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, you hear Connor hitting all these milestones, whatever, how many ever points. He says it doesn't matter as long as the team wins. Like, that's the mindset of, obviously, you want these guys scoring and feeling good about themselves, but it doesn't matter in that respect either. What matters is who's scoring and who's putting up points from game 83 on. What about pushing into a better position in the regular season? Well, you're going to need it. You're going to. You don't want to have to go on the road in round 1. No, no. Not. Can they win it? Sure. But it wouldn't be ideal. You'd rather have home ice all the way through the division, at least. You want them to win the Pacific, right? And they're in a way better position this year than they were last year to maybe achieve that. But look, if these guys are below their career averages in points and assists and goals, that's fine as long as the Oilers are competitive and get, I want to say, at least home ice throughout the first 2 rounds. That's really important. I want to have a bit of a Jeff Skinner conversation because, even some guys around here are just like, man, just get Skinner back up in the top 6. He's a goal scorer. And it's funny because I was saying to Trev, and he was like, I guess I said, if Connor McDavid wanted, like, if he likes playing with Jeff Skinner,
Jeff Skinner would be on McDavid's wing. You know, like if he's like, man, this guy fits my game perfectly. And then they really like Podkolzin on Draisaitl's wing. So, you know, there's really not a spot there for him. So you're almost kind of pigeonholed into a third line where he's really never been. He's always and like this is the thing. He's been on a bunch of teams that haven't made the playoffs. So which means they're not that good, which means he's been a top 6 guy on all those other teams. I find him to be in a really weird spot. And that last game was good. I thought
he was good.
And maybe they can get that out of Henrique and Matthias Janmark and Jeff Skinner. Like maybe that line, I mean, what's Janmark? Janmark's produced, but what's he got? 1 goal? Yeah. Like he's produced, he's getting points and he's playing well.
Good.
I think he's playing well.
Yeah,
he's looking
he's
good.
Playing really well.
Henrique and Skinner haven't reached some offensive totals that you were like. But maybe that line can click. So maybe it's not your prototype. Maybe that's as good as a second line that he played on in some of these other places. I don't know, but I find him to be the most fascinating of it. Well, I mean, Arvidsson's injured, and I expected him to be injured, but Skinner's the most intriguing of all of them because you went out and tried to bring in top 6 wingers. You got guys who played top 6 for most of their career, and now he's just a third liner for you. And it's fascinating to me, the usage and, you know, him being the team worst, whatever it is, -8, 9, 10, whatever. I don't think he's a fit for the group. And now they're like, man, we got to play him somewhere. You know,
it's when you look at it, I mean, Jeff Skinner has been in a playoff position for the most part, 20 games?
Just stop for 1 second. Look at Reed Wilkins.
Oh, my
Reed
gosh.
Wilkins in a suit.
Wow.
A handsome man for sure.
He looks like John Wick's dad.
Reed, are you going to do a sweet dunk in a full suit today? Please do it. And then you dunk and you turn around and say, I'm all business. Yes, I'm going to. Good.
There's a ZZ Top
Yeah, you look
song
sharp today,
buddy.
Walk right in front of the camera. Look at Reed Wilkins' suit.
That is...
Look at this guy. A handsome man.
Nice. I like it.
What do you got coming up today? What do you got booked already? Jody
Ooh.
Shelley. That'll be a fun one. And Dunk?
Yeah.
Good.
Oilers stuff. I'm going to text you a picture here, Dustin.
Okay.
You can do with it whatever.
Okay, perfect.
Right?
And what do you think of the decorations?
Oh, yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're nice, eh? Yeah. Enjoy your show today. Sorry, Gage. We were talking about Skinner.
Yeah,
basically, I was like, I don't know where he fits.
This guy's only been in a playoff position within the first 10 games of the regular season for a number of years now. And now he finds himself on a team that's completely different. Playing top 6 minutes on a team that's out of the playoffs in January, you know, there's not a lot of focus on detail at that point, right? Because the team is basically out of it at that point. And it's a completely different situation that Jeff Skinner's in, that he finds himself in this year with this team. And you know, it's the old thing where I've always hated when people said, "Oh, you just put him. Anyone can play with McDavid. He's so good. He'll make them better." That's not the case. Like, it's the chemistry between players and learning how to be successful with one another. It's hard to find it sometimes, and there's certain players that just don't. Even though on paper it looks like it's a great marriage, it's a complete disaster and doesn't work that well. Now, I would have preferred to see. I mean, maybe if the Oilers get out to a better start, maybe that allows the coaching staff to place Jeff Skinner with either Connor and Leon a little bit longer.
Gord says in the chat, he goes, Skinner was kind of decent offensively to start the year. He goes, bumped down is beyond me. He's always suspect defensively. So either they didn't know or they didn't care when they signed him playing. But you're saying if they have a better start to the year, then there's a little bit more time there.
Like we always say, Leon does that on the first goal, makes a mistake. I mean, he's getting out there next shift.
Yeah.
If a fourth line guy does that, it's probably, you know.
I mean, if Skinner does the tip between the legs, he's not playing.
But he did one of the coolest moves I ever. Oh well, one of the coolest moves of last game. He had one hand on his stick, turned around the other way, and put it back between his legs, then got it back and made a sweet pass. Like, there's a lot of skill on this guy. He's just, and you saw when he went. They showed him on the bench after that play when they almost scored, and he was just like supremely frustrated with himself. Right, like so. There's a fire there, which I think is good to see. It's not just a guy going off and not really caring. He cares a lot. I'm in the camp where this is just a matter of time
You
before
want to see him get a little,
that he kind of breaks through here. Don't you think it's the dam will break at one point
he's
with
been
this guy?
pretty damn good offensively and consistently for a lot of his career. It's weird because Podkolzin actually has the skill set of a third liner,
Oh, yeah.
right? And Skinner doesn't. And you'd like to see them flip, but Podkolzin does some valuable things with Leon Draisaitl as far as going and getting pucks and things. Now, with that being said, if Victor Arvidsson was healthy and Arvidsson could be that puck hound on the line, then maybe you can afford to throw Skinner back over on the left side. This is the picture that Reed said he was going to send me. It's Reed Wilkins dunking on me
with a left hand.
with the left hand, throws it down with the left hand while screaming in my ear. Oh, like it was not completely staged, which I love. I love that. That was funny. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to get to, I mentioned this morning for Fired Up for Gemco Fireplaces on the Nielsen show today, and that was Connor McDavid having a chance to be around Sidney Crosby at the Four Nations face-off and to see Sidney Crosby lead a group. And it's not the Olympics. I did say, next year at the Olympics, you're going to be there with them for like 2.5 weeks. Mm-hmm. But it kind of got us talking about like what type of leaders were here for McDavid when he got the captaincy and was trying to learn how to lead himself and worked his way up. And as somebody texted in, they're like, man, when Mario got to go with Wayne to 87 Canada Cup and, his career really started to take off, delivered a cup a couple years later. Gager, at this stage of Connor's career, do you think it's I think there's value there no matter what. But what level of value do you think he could get from finally being around Sidney Crosby in a best-on-best style tournament?
I think it's, to me, I don't know. I think it's just enjoyment. If I think about when I first walked into an NHL locker room and, I saw Billy Ranford and like Bernie Nichols and Doug Wade, like it was really, really cool to see guys that I'd looked up to for a long period of time. Right. So I think he's going to look forward to it in that respect, because he's been, I don't know if it was Connor McDavid's idol or how he modeled his game after or anything like that. But I mean, as a young kid and junior or you 16, 17, and you see these NHL guys do things, go, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I want to try to do that. And then all of a sudden you're playing beside them. I think that's a real cool moment for you. Right. But look, Connor's been in the league for a long time. I think Sidney Crosby is probably just as excited to be in the same locker room as Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon as everything like that. And they're all leaders, right? And so there's not one guy who if Sidney's wearing the C, which is probably going to happen, he's not the only one that's going to be talking in between periods or at practice or things like that. There's just too many huge personalities in that room where, I mean, obviously they'll all have respect for one another. It can help a little bit, but I think just the enjoyment of playing with certain players that maybe you would only get this chance at these type of events is what's going to motivate Connor McDavid.
How much do you think Sidney Crosby was helped or advanced by being taken under the wing of Mario Lemieux? Massive, right? Like, yeah. And Connor they're not even anybody really remotely close.
Not even close
to that here. Yeah. Somebody joked this morning on the show because I was talking about this. I said, like, what, it was like Andrew Ference. They brought in Lucic to try to do it. Some of the boys said Matty Hendricks. I'm like, yeah, but like those guys, Connor can't relate to those guys in any way. I mean, Connor comes in with the expectations that Sidney Crosby came in, and Sidney Crosby managed to get to play with Mario a little bit and live with him and basically be around him all the time. And I just think that was such a benefit for Sid to just have that presence around him when he first came into the league.
It would have been really nice if they had a star, maybe a superstar, on the Oilers when
Would have been tough. Like
it would have been.
They
tough.
had like Hall and Eberle, but those guys
were kids.
And it was the same thing for them.
Yeah.
And they never learned.
No.
Right? That's why I'm very impressed with how far McDavid has come in that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just natural stuff.
Look at both. I'm just going to use two as an example. Taylor Hall and Jordan Eberle, right? Eberle wasn't a so-called playoff performer. He goes to the island. All of a sudden, he's got 16 points in a couple. He's figured it out, and he's also with a more mature team. Taylor Hall goes to New Jersey and becomes a Hart Trophy winner, right? And there was different players on that team that he was probably like, oh, this is a little bit different now.
Yeah.
Connor's a little bit. He's a different animal.
He's another level than those guys.
He's running wind sprints with his wife up the stairs, right?
Yeah.
Like this is.
I mean, I also try to impress my wife by working out too sometimes, right? So I'm not going to get too carried away on that.
Yeah.
But somebody texted in this morning, and I think I just saw the text come in again. But it was the closest relationship that Connor had to Sid and Mario was the Moose calling him on the commercials, being like, Connor!
Yeah, that was probably
look it up. I mean, that's probably as close as it was. Stalking Connor was the closest that I ever got to.
He was shooting pucks at Gretz's head on those betting commercials too, right? So that's the closest he's got to working with one of these like superstars. But no, I think it's more just excitement to finally be on the ice, the same sheet of ice on the same team with some of these guys working towards a singular goal, right? That's something that you don't see.
With that roster now fully announced, and I thought we did a pretty good job on Tuesdays too, guys.
That was good.
Like we had Fleury over Montembeault. I still think that would have been a better decision. We had Mackenzie Weegar over Parayko. I guess they were looking for size. And then we missed on Seth Jarvis, and we had Mark Scheifele in the lineup. So those are the only three that we missed on. Now that it's all said and done, we asked Bruce Boudreau this morning who he would play with Connor McDavid on the top line. And he did say, I guess he didn't technically answer. Man, I don't know if you caught Bruce this morning.
Oh, I already have the next movie plotted with Bruce Boudreau, Night at the Museum 3.
Yes, exactly. Like all these fun things. Like, my God, when I was just like, oh, you know what? I hope this isn't a weird question, but like, do you collect stuff? And he goes, do I collect stuff? And then like 10 minutes in the conversation, he goes, and I got a Ducks room, and I got a Capitals room, and then when I said, man, somebody texted him was like, Bruce, I guess you stopped coaching because there's too many rooms. He goes, I'll build a room if somebody wants me to coach. Like, he was so good. But he basically said he definitely wouldn't play McDavid and McKinnon together but I don't think he actually said who he would play with them. I guess we talked about it a little bit on two guys, but I think that's a real fun conversation on who you play with Connor McDavid's wing. I do think Sam Reinhart probably has to be one of them. And then I don't know. I don't know who else you could rotate through there. I mean, I don't think I'd play Marner with him. Marner's more of a setup man. I don't think that's necessary. I don't know if that would work.
But,
I mean, they'd just be passing the puck back and forth over and over beautifully. Beautifully. But I don't know if that would work.
I thought about that with Marner, and I'm intrigued because Marner's kind of he carries the puck a lot, right? And so maybe he defers to McDavid a little bit more in that respect. Because Marner can score. Like, he scored some really nice goals. I wonder if he just embraces that role of being, more of a shooter with Reinhart, with McDavid. Because McDavid's going to defer to these guys. He's not shooting the puck. He's passing all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to go through the entire thing with, no shots.
No shots.
12 assists.
Yeah.
Atif asking a question that's not a ridiculous song recorded at 4:30 in the morning. Gage, I'd like to ask you this question. Do you think this will motivate Stuart Skinner, not being picked on Team Canada, to really rise up for the rest of the season? In your playing days, if you had a chance to possibly make Team Canada and you weren't chosen, would that have motivated you to prove him wrong?
Atif, I can only say one thing to you. Stay tuned, 1 to 3, with Hernan Salas and myself for the Red Light District, and we'll dive right into it.
All right, there you go. That answer is coming up. You know what time Red Light District is?
You
know what? Just watch and listen to the whole show.
Thing.
Yeah,
Whatever.
watch the show. Highly entertaining. Dudley says, guys, there already is a Night at the Museum 3.
Oh, 4. Sorry.
I was not aware of that. Yeah, we'll do the next one. Man, Bruce, that would be great.
3? Really? Did I miss one?
Is Ben Stiller in all 3?
Is he?
No, Ben Stiller didn't do 3 of those,
I don't
did
think
he?
He did 3.
Let's see here.
Wasn't that Robin Williams' last movie too?
Night. Was that the last one?
Yeah.
I was really blown away by the first Night at the Museum. I thought it was one of the
shocker.
coolest movies.
Yeah.
Night at the Museum 3.
It was a great show.
Secret Tomb. And it is Ben Stiller.
Huh. I might have to watch 3.
Really?
Great movie for kids.
Is that the yeah, we haven't watched it yet, I don't think. Oh, maybe Tim and the kids watched one when I was gone with CFL, but
Have you tried Skeleton Crew yet at all?
You know what? I was going to ask you that because
I haven't.
I turned it on briefly last night, but I was doing work and I was like, I don't think I was hoping that maybe it would suck me away from work and I just watch an episode. But it just started and I was like, no, not tonight.
Yeah.
I might wait and hear what Mark and Corey have to say about it on the MCTV podcast before I fully dive into it.
But I think with like young kids, and I know Marshall's basically training
I told
to be
Tammy
a Jedi.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So he might really like this because it's all kids and Jude Law.
He's got this book right now that is like 1,000 facts about the Star Wars universe.
Gosh, that's great.
And he's just buried in it all day. Yeah, last night we read about, I didn't even know the guy that we read about last night. But he I can't even remember his name, but he was like he was a Jedi that still used his blaster more than his lightsaber and was a little bit of it was almost like the Han Solo of Jedi.
Yeah.
Kanan.
I think
can't remember his name.
I've read about him before.
We learned about him last night, which was kind of fun. All right, let's get into hire it or fire it, and they are hiring right now at GS Construction. They always are. I mean, these guys are all over the city. Become a part of the great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca or their page on Indeed.ca. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction has been built on efficiency, quality, safety. Take your career to the next level. Join the team at GS Construction today. Baggio, before we get to this, says, guys, off topic for you. But Jude Law said on Jimmy Kimmel that when it comes to filming a Star Wars film, like many things to look are the same. Visual. One point, they make sure there's no paper on set. No Star Wars movie ever had paper. Think about it. Jimmy was wondering what they would do for toilet paper. That's him from no paper ever on
just
set.
for like probably the scripts to get out or whatever.
Yeah, I
right?
guess,
So
yeah.
just no one could write anything down.
There's just nothing like that.
Nothing, yeah.
Very cool. All right, let's start here. Got into this conversation on the fan zone this morning around 6:45. Stuart Skinner is the whipping boy of the Oilers fan base. Hire it or fire it.
It's hired. That's working for GS for sure. Don't understand it. Isn't warranted. His play has been improving for the last, I would say, 4, 5, 6 games. This is a guy that was so close to winning a Stanley Cup. Like
he was a Calder nominee like 2 years ago.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand it. From where we were, like Stuart Skinner, and I would say
he saved their ass.
Yeah,
Like
Calvin Pickard have made it so, and I think Oilers fans are just bored of not complaining about goaltending because you weren't able to all summer and for a better part of last season.
Yeah. I just always look at it and people were like, no, it's deserved. The criticism is deserved. And like some criticism this year has been deserved of Stuart Skinner. It's not like he's been lights out and we're like, you guys are too hard on him because he's brilliant. But I just look in like, to me, the perfect example is the game against Colorado. He allows one goal. It's on a one-timer. He almost got it. And people are like, you got to have that. And I'm like, to me, when it gets as ridiculous as that, that's when you get the whipping boy title, because no matter what you do, there will be a portion, and not all of the fan base, many of you have your heads on straight, but not all of but there will be a portion of the fan base that no matter the goal he allows in, it should have been stopped. Like no matter what it is. And for me, that's when you get to whipping boy status as opposed to, just being criticized fairly, which there was a lot of window for that this year, but I feel it's gotten too far the other way.
And look, I was on my dog walk this morning. A thought went through my head, Dusty. It doesn't happen too often, but it was about goaltending and the U.S. versus Canada. And when you look at it, they put these U.S. goaltenders. I'm just going to use their top two that are probably going to be on bench. And it's Ottinger and Hellebuck. And you look at both. Stuart Skinner outplayed one of them, and the other guy couldn't get out of the first round because of poor play. So when it's most important,
Hellebuck had a bad playoff last
terrible,
year. Yeah,
terrible.
Remember that? That was like the big story.
That
of
was the
first
story
round,
of the thing. Now you have a guy that did it before. You had another guy that was. Both guys should have won the Conn Smythe or Hill. I know he didn't play the whole thing, and Marchessault won, but he didn't start heating up until he actually played against the Edmonton. So that was kind of a little bit puzzling to me. So now Canada has two guys that have done it compared to the U.S. guys that have stumbled and fallen.
Good point.
I don't know. And I'd include Stuart Skinner because those other two guys, they haven't been there yet.
They haven't got to a Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final.
No.
All right, Kasperi Kapanen should be waived when Arvidsson is healthy. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd have enough salary cap to keep him around.
Yeah.
And maybe they do. But
I'm going to clip it fire it because he's a cap casualty, I think, is what it is. If they could keep him,
that's just kind of how it is.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. All right, and then let's get to this one that was brought up. You mentioned how I missed a month, and now Arvidsson is going to be missing a month. Will Fraser did a better job filling in for me than Connor Brown did filling in for Arvidsson. Hire it or fire it.
Hire it. He missed wide open net. He had good chances to score.
Him and Bush both had tap-ins.
The final score of that game should have been 3-1 empty netter with Edmonton because those guys should have buried both those chances. And Will was phenomenal.
So there you go. Congratulations, Phrase. As the boys are joking around here, it's Will who's sick now, and I'm just filling in for him. Until he's a little bit better. 780-218-9999. You can hit us up over in the nasty chat as well. We didn't get to it yet today, and obviously we didn't have it two guys yesterday. The Patrick Laine story in Montreal the other night was that not? I mean, what a moment and what a market to have it happen. You know what I mean? Like
what a shot!
Well, yeah, wicked shot. Looked like he's going to one-time it, then settles it down and just. I mean, he's been doing that since he came into the league as a teenager.
Yeah, but there's no the recency bias of him shooting. No one's got everyone's forgotten because it looked like he was going to blast that thing, and then he just held it and ripped it far. So it was vintage Laine. And the goal was great, the celebration, but I think what pulled at the heartstrings the most was his interview afterwards.
Yeah.
Basically expressing that was probably the greatest moment of my hockey career was how I was appreciated that much, which I thought was pretty cool for a guy that's gone through a little bit of tough times.
It would be huge for the Habs if he can click and stick around. I mean, the guy's a walking 30-goal season, no matter what.
And he's got not now not like he had Johnny Gaudreau, obviously, who was a great player, but he's also got Suzuki and
there are some good offensive pieces in Montreal.
Yeah, so there's guys that can get him to the puck a lot. I think that don't they have a prime thing called the rebuild? I think it was a little.
That was on Crave.
That was probably
Crave.
2 years premature for that.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Hopefully,
I think Montreal is doing what Edmonton definitely did during the Hope era,
right?
Where they forgot to build the blue line out. And now they're trying they Goalie and they got some other guys, but I always thought it worked so well in Chicago because you had Seabrook and Keith more advanced than Kane and Taves. They were a little bit, and in Edmonton,
right? You
never got that.
No,
right with Hall and Eberle, you weren't developing. I don't think Kane and Taves and those guys have success if they're. Well, they would have probably still won, but I don't think they would have been as good of organization as they were if those guys came in 2 or 3 years before Keith and Seabrook, and then the blue liners are trying to catch up. I just always thought Chicago really worked, and I feel like that's where Montreal is at with Caulfield and Suzuki, and now you're drafting these D-men, and it's just you're wasting some really good years of those forwards. That's what's happening in Montreal.
And if you look at the goaltending, Niemi and Crawford, very good goaltenders. I wouldn't put them in the upper echelon.
Well, they're not Carey Price, but yeah.
Because they have Seabrook, Oduya, Chalmerson, Keith, like that is they provided such solid defense that made their goalies better. And then when you have Kane and Taze, they're just those were great Blackhawks teams, man. They were awesome. Big buff.
They were really stacked. Like before they got picked apart a bit,
yeah,
they were really loaded.
Like
and
if there
was like a core. Like
you wonder if there was no salary cap. Go back and look at
there's a few more cups there for the Chicago team. Like
yeah.
No, that's pretty good. C-Run says, you kind of have to be a bit lucky in the draft, too, with the Penguins, with Letang and the Blackhawks with Keith. And you get these guys, maybe not in the, a top 10 pick that end up panning out for you.
I hate that saying the best player available when they say that. It's the best player that's going to work with your team at that moment is who you should pick. Yeah. I think, anyway. Just you got 8 forwards and you pick another forward, it's not going to help your team.
All right, we've got EST afternoons coming up here at 1 o'clock on Edmonton Sports Talk. Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage will be staying right there in this festive studio. How good does Zacticum look today? Eh?
He's
dressed well. He's calling
fancy.
some hockey action tonight.
Wow.
So, I mean, the Crocs don't really work with the rest of your outfit, but whatever. That's good. You mentioned Red Light District's coming up.
Yeah.
What were you teasing again there? Skinner using it as motivation.
A little fuel.
Okay, and you know what else is coming up on the show today?
Hernan didn't print the list.
Hey, Hernan, what's on the show? Hernan's outside.
I had a list, but it was last week's. Farhan.
Oh, Farhan, nice.
And then Brian Hedger to talk some Columbus Blue Jackets.
Oh, all right. Brian Hedger to talk Blue Jackets. Farhan Lalji to talk CFL. And Red Light District with Joaquin Gage.
That.
And lots of fun stuff with the boys. So that'll be coming up right here. If you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, EST afternoons at 1 o'clock today. That'll be followed by the Reed Wilkins Show. Both shows getting you ready for the Edmonton Oilers and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Connor McDavid will be honored tonight for becoming a 1,000-point player already in his National Hockey League career. He is pretty ridiculous. I predicted a hat trick for him tonight.
Oh, yeah?
He hasn't had one in
with
2 years. That's how good he is. It's a hat trick with the...
Is it an actual gold... Have you ever held one of those sticks? Like the...
I wouldn't be strong enough.
It's really heavy. Like
Whose did you hold?
I can't remember. It was in the room or something, and someone had played 1,000 games, and it was really heavy.
Wow. Very cool.
Gold stick, silver stick, who cares?
Who gives a... all right, he's Joaquin Gage. I'm Dustin Nielson. Cass is on vacation. He'll be back in a little while. It's Two Guys in Goalie, brought to you by GS Construction. EST Afternoons is on the way next. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.